once a week, although in more recent times once a month, on a Tuesday when I'm doing the school beavers runs things at night, scouts, cubs, kids clubs and stuff, I do a weekly Q&A on my Instagram account. And one of the questions I get asked all the time that I never answer on there because it's a bit too long to answer is, what do you do when you've got a creative block? How do you cope with the creative rut? Just zero ideas. And I think it's worth addressing that now. And I think we should address it in a YouTube video so I can talk about it properly. Now, the first thing is, I work as a professional photographer, and in that sense, I am a creative. I work as a creative. I spend more time doing personal creative work than I do commercial work. Thankfully, the commercial work pays such a high amount that I don't have to do so much of it. But most of the time, I'm doing my own thing. Now, I don't sit there every day going, I wonder what I could create today. No. That is not how we get down. That would be a fool's errand. We'd be here forever doing nothing, constantly thinking and planning. We don't have time to constantly think and plan. We have to do. So here's how I work it. Here's how I do things. I sit down and I go, I am a photographer. I shoot bold, graphic, colourful still life. Okay, that's my niche. And you should all have a niche. You should all work out what your niche is. It can change for sure, but you should have a niche and you should have a style. My niche is I'm a still life photographer, specialising in food and drink at the moment, though I'm branching out a little. But my style is that bold, graphic look. So here's what we do. Let me grab an item. Here is a 5p piece. I'm going to go and photograph this in my bold and graphic style. Here's a camera. I'm going to go and photograph this in my bold and graphic style. That'd be good. Whatever it is, whatever the subject, I already know what I'm going to do to it. I'm going to bold and graphic it. Now, yes, there's a little bit more creativity in there. There's some set design, there's some stylistic approaches, composition, all the rest of it. But once you've got your item and you're heading out to the studio to shoot, the rest of it that comes, and the reason I have my own studio is because I have everything in here. If I need to create a set, I've got it all here. I've got the tool bench, I've got the wood, I've got the paint and all the rest of it. I can just crack on with the creativity, and that's a very fortunate place to be in that I have that. If you're at home, you probably don't have loads of 6-foot planks of wood kicking about. Maybe you do. But you do have the ability to grab some sheets of coloured card and start crafting with them. You can do that. So what I'm going to be doing soon is showing you that process, because what I've recently done is that whilst I'm looking at moving in still life, I've gone, right, next week I've got time to shoot. What am I going to shoot? Still life. What do I know about? I've got a degree in sports science, which is useful. I know about balls. That sounds bad. I'm going to go and buy a sports ball or shuttlecock or whatever it is from every single sport and photograph it. Cool. How am I going to do it? Bold and graphic style. I have no idea what these pictures are going to look like yet, but I've got the item, I've got the general concept, and now I'm thinking, right, I need a background for it. What background can we have? It's got to be bold and graphic, hasn't it? I'm going to recreate the courts out of paper, or at least create something which gives you the interpretation in your brain to go, that must be a clay court tennis, or whatever it might be. That is what I'm going to do. How am I going to light it? Of course, it's going to be hard lights. I like bold, graphic work. And all of a sudden, all of these things come into play. And it's not a case of having a creative block, because the answers just naturally present themselves as you go along. I don't sit there going, I need to come up with a creative idea, or I need to come up with a creative idea. I get nothing done. I can't afford to get nothing done. I've got to be constantly producing work. I just have to think of one thing, the subject, and everything else will fall into place around it. And yes, sometimes it's shit. Sometimes you get those images back and go, yeah, that was a bad one. But it doesn't matter. That is part of the process. Now you know that's a bad one. You don't do it again. Okay, last week we shot a series about, in the UK, you get these lunch meal deals. You go to your supermarket from the office, you get a sandwich, a drink, and a crisps and a chocolate bar, and it's like £3.50 or whatever it is. I did a series about my Monday to Friday of what I'd have in my meal deal. That was the work I did. That's the work I created. And we went bold and graphic. Cool, we'll get the card out, we'll get the stylist in, we'll shoot it. I hadn't perfectly planned this out. I hadn't sketched out the composition for each of them, because it's the creative process. This is what we do. We need to get creative. Now, when a client comes in with a detailed scamp of exactly what they want, and the treatment and the deck all correspond neatly and everything's nice, and you go, yes, we're doing this, this, and this. The sandwich is 3mm from the right of the frame. The drink goes 4 inches above that on the plate, whatever it might be. Yeah, that's when you become the technician. That's when you become the person whose creative identity understands what they want, but technically we need to be able to deliver that brief. But in terms of the creative process and the creative ruts you find yourself in, just try this simple approach. Understand your niche, so you know what you're looking at photographing. Understand your style, how you're going to photograph it. and then do it. Just crack on. Just break the camera out and begin. Start playing. Don't worry about not having a clue what you're doing. Just begin. Because that's all it takes to get a good idea. Just start working. Once you start, you'll come up with something, because you just naturally, one thing leads to another. You see something that looks bad, you adjust it, it looks good, you add more to it. And that's what this job's about. We don't sit there waiting for inspiration. We turn up 9 to 5, Monday to, well, apparently I do 7 days a week at the moment, but we turn up and we just create. That's all there is to it. It's the same with this YouTube channel. I treat this in the same way. You know, I have a YouTube channel here. It's about the business of photography and being a photographer. I don't worry too much about what I'm going to create. I come up with like 10 titles. I sit down and I reel them off and I chat to you about what I'm talking about. Like this here. All I had to talk about here was how to stop getting into a creative rut and what I do about it. And then I tell you everything I know about that. I don't sit here scripting it out and carefully planning each shot and setting up a 20-point lighting system. I've got a window open up here. I've got a softbox pointing straight at my face. You can see it. And a camera facing straight at me. That's it. There's nothing fancy going on here. But if I spent ages planning these, I'd never make a YouTube video. But because I just sit down and crack on with it and do the work, things get produced. And the most important part of this is, as long as it's about 90% good enough, bang it out there. A lot of these videos here, you'll find a clip where I didn't put the colour grade on it. You'll find the audio is not perfect. Doesn't matter. As long as it's good enough, get it out into the world and other people will see it for what it is. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Do hit like and subscribe if you can. It really helps my channel out. If there's other topics you want me to discuss, let me know in the comments below, because I always read them and I'll try and add them to my next video list. I'll bang a title in there and we'll do this again. See you soon. Bye-bye.